I wake up to this noise over here at Publix, and I go to bed and I listen to it even in my sleep, man. And Eva does too. She's even closer to it, you know. So I put up fence and 11-foot wide gate and 8-foot tall with 6-foot tall slats on it, so it's not too exceeding, you know. You know they want to be able to spy in on your property, right? When Google rides by, they got that little arm on that camera that raises it up above your gate so they can look in on your property, and they're obtrusive is what they are. They're very, very obtrusive, nosy bastards that don't have a right to look at our property, okay? When we the people start losing these type of rights, folks, don't think you're going to be respected. Law enforcement and anybody else. The mayor of Lakeland or Cecil Womack, Sheriff Grady Judd, when you start taking more and more of our rights, man, and blatantly disrespecting and ignoring the Constitution. The Constitution that represents we the people. We know what you're doing, man. You're losing respect, and when you lose respect, you have nothing. I don't care who you are, you know. This is something real serious to me, man. I've known a few people that are really close to me. They're some of the nicest people I've ever known in my life, man. They really are. They're good, they're genuine, they're real, and they're nice. But they ain't about jack shit, y'all. I'm telling you the truth. I love them with all my heart, man. I die for them, okay? They are some of the nicest people. And I know some of you folks don't understand what I'm talking about, man. They are the nicest people you've ever met, man. But I cannot respect people that will stand by and let another human being destroy what belongs to them. So, you know, I can't respect a man that's one of the nicest men and polite people I've ever met, very likable, that lives with 2 strangers in his house, of which most of the time he doesn't even like them, but he does it to make his mortgage payment. I don't respect a man like that, okay? I like him. I like his personality. I like, you know, interacting with him when I do. I like to wave my hand at him because I care about him. My mom loves him. He said he loves my mom. I believe him. But see, him and my mom are 2 people, 2 of the nicest people that I've ever met, that I'd probably die for, no doubt. But they ain't about jack shit, y'all. They're not about nothing, okay? And I am about something, and that's the difference. So you're not going to lose respect for me, except when I get angry, you know. Then you might say, you know, he's cursing so much, I've lost all respect for him. I don't even want to hear him anymore, right? I can understand that, you know. That's why I don't want to do it. I don't want to be cursing, you know. I voted for Obama. My old lady's a Mexican, but I'm like my buddy Eric. Like he admitted to me, you know, that when he gets mad at people, he'll say anything he can. If you're white, he might call you a cracker, right? I mean, he might use some racial slur against you just to make you angry, you know. He doesn't hate any particular race of people, you know. For example, if you're big, he might call you fat. Anything, you know, if you're wearing, if you don't like your hat, you know, whatever it is, he'll say something to try to upset you. You know, that's the law of the jungle, the nature of the beast, you know. That's why you don't want to get angry, you know, and start saying stuff like that, because you can be misunderstood very quickly, you know. When you're really not a hater at all, you're a good guy, man. You're a real American, you're a good person. So you don't ever want to lose your temper. You always want to be a good person, man. It's very important. So I'm going to make myself very clear on these videos, and I've lived my life like this, y'all. I mean, these guys are over here driving in and out of a trailer with a 6,000-pound forklift. I don't know how much they weigh, really, like a pickup truck. 3,000? Who knows? They're a lot. but it literally shook the picture on my wall of my uncle and the presidents, and it rattled the picture. You know, it's ridiculous, man. So, and I'm tiptoeing around here just to give you some insight into me and my behavior. I'm tiptoeing. I'm pushing my motorized bike at 11 o'clock at night because there's a noise ordinance, y'all. I'm not allowed to go out there and start whacking the chain on the metal door that I built out of a ladder rack. Took a ladder rack my brother gave me and finally put it back to use as a new gate for my shed. Gate door there. It's a beautiful door. I love it, man. With an aluminum skin on it. Turned out wonderful. And it's got a chain on it, and you can slap the metal and make all kinds of wretched noise. But I'm tiptoeing on my way out there, trying to hold the chain up in there, grab the door and pick it up, pull it out. Everything real quiet, you know. Why? Because I've got two neighbors right on top of that shed, to the left and right of me, you know. And you know, I assume there may be something there. There is in my life, believe it or not, and always has been. That's what I'm trying to tell you goons out there, man. This ain't no flop house and it ain't no free-for-all. I've always lived with dignity and respect for others. You know, if you guys think it's a joke and I'm just rambling on about this, don't think that at all, because if you ever get to know me in person, you became a friend of mine, you'll find out real quick how I am, man, if you're not respectful to the people around you. I will disassociate myself from people like this, you know. I'm very quiet when I go out there, man. I unlock the gate, I close it very, very quiet. I sneak around like a burglar, you know. It wouldn't surprise me if they called the law to me, but I do it because I don't want to disturb these people. I don't want to wake them up, and that's the truth, y'all. I mean, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart. I really don't even have a right to do it. Yeah, I'm sitting here telling you guys the truth. I don't even have a right to go out there and put that motorcycle in that shed at 11 o'clock because I should have already done it by 10 o'clock, okay? So therefore, I have to sneak around very, very quietly, and I can do it quietly. I got it down to a routine, you know. But if I can do it quietly, I'll do it. If I can, I'll chain it up out in the yard and leave it in the rain, you know, because I'm not going to go back there banging around making noise and waking my neighbors up, man, because I care. I care a lot, you know. But Publix doesn't care, you know. They'll be banging on that shit, making the pictures on my wall rattle and running their big mouth, talking loud and everything else. These are people that don't give a damn about nothing. I'm telling y'all the truth finally. You know, I got to calm down and tell y'all the truth because I've been so angry. Tell you who I am and what I'm about and what I've always been about. Nobody can deny, you know. Like I said, when my mom gets mad, I mean, my mom gets angry as hell like anybody. Especially when I bring up the past and her stupidity. You know what she says bad about me? You know how people get mad about you and they want to dig up some dirt and say something to make you mad, like my buddy Eric and like I do to people when I get mad at them? Anything to make them mad, right? My mom's the same way. She's a person. What does she do? She has to tell me about the time that I wouldn't take out the garbage. That's how bad I am, y'all. Seriously. When my mother gets angry at me, she tells me about when I was so sorry that I wouldn't even take the garbage out one time when she asked me. And what does that mean? I was a typical kid that probably didn't respect her or her stupid ass husband. They never invested any time into us. It was all about being on the take and using people and running over top of people and bullying them and treating them like shit. And controlling every aspect of their life, burning your father's pictures, photographs of your father and setting them on fire because you're a jealous husband. That's what it was all about. And calling somebody a Kessler whore, that's my last name, Kessler. That's the kind of shit that I had to listen to, y'all. I'm a real good person. You know why? Because I was around a son of a bitch my whole life, and I learned exactly what not to be, man. What I cared about and what I am about. And, you know, so that's what makes you about something, y'all. I'm telling you. That's what makes you about something. When you go through shit like that, you remember how bad that hurt, right? That's right. When you go through, when you have to live around a fucking low life, sorry for cussing, when you got to live around the low life, you remember that and how painful it was, and you don't ever want to do that to anybody else. Now, see, they tell you, you know, a lot of these so-called experts, you know, they'll tell you that bastards, damn mosquitoes. They'll tell you that if you've been around that shit all your life, that's what you're going to do as an adult, right? Well, my brother Mark was around it all of his childhood, and I was around it all of my childhood, and neither one of us do it. That's the truth. Matter of fact, my brother, he's got a real good safety net about him. You know, he don't get mad easy, you know, but when he does, you're in trouble. Seriously. You're in trouble. But he don't get mad easy, and that's why I'm not, you know, afraid of him. Because I could be afraid of him, believe it. He's not little. He's a big man, like I am, and he can get a real bad attitude. But, you know, he's slow to anger, and I can say anything and talk my way out of it with him. Quick. Real quick and easy. Just like me. Just like me. We're like identical twins when it comes to that, man. So that's not true, y'all, about, you know, what, you know, just because you were raised around an idiot doesn't mean that you have to be an idiot, okay? And that's the moral of the story there. Let's move right along with some more tips to help some of you folks out there, because goodness knows, I watch the news every day, and there's a lot of terrible things going on, and if only you guys believed in God like I do, man, you'd be fine.